My husband left me while I was in labor. Not for coffee, not because he panicked. He walked out of that hospital room and never came back. I was 8 centimeters dilated, sweating through contractions, begging him not to leave, and he said, "I'm not cut out for this, I'm sorry," and walked out. That was the moment everything inside me went quiet. I didn't scream, I didn't chase him. I stared at the spot where he'd been standing, surrounded by machines and nurses and pain, and something in me shut off. The nurses thought he was going to the restroom. One of them even asked if he needed a break. But I knew from the look in his eyes, he was gone. The labor lasted another 5 hours. I gave birth to our son alone, gripping a stranger's hand instead of his. A young nurse named Danielle stayed with me. She held my leg, whispered encouragement, wiped my forehead. She was the one who said, "It's a boy," and handed him to me. Not my husband, not the man who promised me forever, just a 24-year-old nurse who had more strength and grace in that moment than he ever did. My son cried when they placed him on my chest. So did I, but not for the reason you think. I didn't cry for the man who abandoned me. I cried because I realized I didn't need him. He was dead weight, and I'd been carrying him for years. The hospital staff kept asking when my husband would return. I didn't know what to tell them. I lied. I said he was probably in the cafeteria. I said he was anxious. I said he just needed a moment. I don't know why I defended him. Maybe I was still trying to believe it wasn't real. But when I checked my phone, I knew. One text. I can't do this. No follow-up, no explanation, no "I love you." Just cowardice in black and white. I didn't respond. 3 days later, I took my son home alone. The car seat was already installed. He'd done that much, at least. But his side of the closet was empty. I found a note on the kitchen table. 3 sentences. "I'm sorry, I panicked. I need space." He didn't even spell our son's name right. I spent those first weeks in a fog. Between feedings and diaper changes and crying silently into my pillow, I kept wondering what I'd done wrong. Was I too emotional? Too demanding? Did I miss something? Had I pushed him away without realizing it? But the truth was simpler. He was weak. And I'd spent the last 2 years making excuses for it. Before I got pregnant, I had already seen the cracks, the missed responsibilities, the promises broken, the way he looked the other way when life got hard. But he was charming, so good at saying the right thing, so quick to say, "I'll fix it." And I believed him, every time. Until that hospital room. He disappeared for 2 months. No calls, no visits, no explanation. And then, out of nowhere, he messaged me. "I want to see him. I miss my son." My hands shook when I read it. I sat there on the couch, bottle in one hand, phone in the other, watching my son sleep on my chest, and I thought, miss him? You haven't even met him. He missed the birth. The first bath. The first time he rolled over. He missed the long nights, the cracked nipples, the fevers. The first time he smiled. He missed me sobbing at 3 in the morning with no one to hold me. He missed everything. And now he wanted to pick up like none of it happened? No, I didn't respond to that message either. Instead, I called a lawyer. I wasn't petty. I didn't want revenge. I wanted protection for me, for my son. I started documenting everything. The abandonment, the note, the text, the hospital records. I created a folder labeled Emergency Custody because I knew him. He wasn't reaching out because he cared. He was reaching out because someone found out. And I was right. 2 days later, his mother called. She was crying, said she hadn't heard from him in weeks, asked how the baby was, said she just found out he never showed up to the birth, that he'd told everyone he was handling things privately. I told her the truth, every word. She went silent for a long time. Then she asked if she could visit. She showed up the next day with a bag of baby clothes and tears in her eyes. She held her grandson for the first time and whispered, "He's beautiful. He doesn't deserve what my son did." And she was right. My son deserved better. So did I. His mother stayed for hours. She fed him, changed his diaper, rocked him until he fell asleep in her arms. She didn't ask for forgiveness. She didn't try to make excuses. She just kept whispering, "I'm so sorry," over and over again. And I believed her, because unlike her son, she showed up. After she left, I sat at the kitchen table staring at that first message again. The one where he said he missed his son. I don't know what I was expecting to feel. Anger? Maybe. But what I felt was emptiness. Like every word he wrote was just static. The next day, he showed up. No warning, no call, just a knock on the door. I didn't answer at first. I watched from the peephole. He looked thinner, nervous. He held a box, probably some gift he thought would fix everything. I let him stand there for a long time before I finally opened the door. He looked at me like he was seeing a ghost. "I didn't know if you'd answer," he said. I didn't say anything. I need to see him. I blocked the doorway. "You left me in a hospital bed. Do you remember that?" His eyes dropped to the floor. I panicked. I wasn't ready. "You think I was?" I asked. "You think I wanted to push out a human alone while you walked out like I was nothing?" I know, he said quietly. I know I messed up. Messed up, that's what he called it. Like it was a scheduling conflict. Like he forgot to pick up milk. I didn't let him in. I told him if he wanted to be a father, he needed to speak to my lawyer. He begged, literally dropped to his knees, said he wanted to be a part of his son's life, that he'd changed, that he'd grown, that he missed us. Us. He used that word like it still meant something. I told him I wasn't interested in us. Not anymore. And if he really wanted to see our son, he'd follow the legal process and prove he was fit emotionally, financially, mentally. That shut him up. He left. 3 weeks later, I was served with paperwork. He wanted joint custody. I felt like I couldn't breathe when I read it. This man, who hadn't spent a single night rocking our son to sleep, hadn't changed one diaper, hadn't paid a single bill, wanted joint custody, wanted weekends, holidays, wanted to swoop in after the hardest part was over and pretend he was a parent. I fought back. My lawyer helped me file for full custody. I attached every document I had, the hospital statement, his handwritten note, the texts, statements from nurses, from his own mother, everything. He didn't even show up to the first hearing. The judge granted me temporary full custody with supervised visitation. He tried to reschedule, claimed he was overwhelmed, needed more time. He didn't even know our son's birthday. He called him Liam when his name was Noah. I held my baby that night and cried, not because I was sad, but because I was proud. I had done it. Alone. And now, nobody could take that away from me. His visits were sporadic. He missed more than he showed up for. Always with excuses. Work, traffic, sick, tired. But I documented it all. Every no-show, every late arrival, every time Noah cried when a stranger showed up and called himself Daddy. It's been 2 years now. He hasn't tried in over 8 months. No cards, no calls, no gifts, just silence. I still get the occasional email, a vague message, hope you're well, but I don't answer, because Noah is. He's well, he's loved, he's safe, he doesn't ask about him, because how can you miss someone you never knew? My son knows strength, he knows patience, he knows kindness, he knows what love looks like in action, not just in words. He knows his mom never gave up on him. And that's enough. Last month, Noah turned 2. We had balloons, cake, and a tiny backyard full of plastic dinosaurs because he's obsessed with them right now. He wore a paper crown, smeared frosting across his face, and ran circles around the lawn like he owned the world. Sarah came, of course, with her new boyfriend who brought a giant stuffed T-Rex Noah now insists on sleeping with every night. My parents were there. My cousin flew in. It was loud, chaotic, beautiful. And I didn't think about my ex once, until later that night. After everyone had gone home and Noah was asleep, I curled up on the couch with a slice of leftover cake and opened my laptop. I don't know why. Maybe I just needed to see it for myself. I typed his name into Facebook. The page was still there, but barely active. A blurry profile photo. A job listed that I knew he didn't have anymore. One recent post, a shared quote. Sometimes the hardest thing is letting go of the people you love. I didn't laugh. I didn't cry. I felt nothing. That was the moment I realized I'd healed. Not all at once. Not like a movie montage with makeover scenes and dance parties. No. Healing came in slow, quiet waves. It came in holding my son's hand while he took his first steps. In collapsing on the couch after finally getting him to sleep and realizing I'd survived another day. In building a life around the wreckage and realizing it wasn't wreckage anymore. It was a foundation. A few weeks ago, I met someone. It's not serious yet, just coffee, a couple of walks. He's kind. He asks about Noah. He listens when I speak. He doesn't try to rush anything. And most importantly, he shows up. Every single time. That's something I never realized was so valuable until I went through what I did. People underestimate the power of simply being there. Sometimes when I look at Noah, I still feel the sting of everything we went through. But it's just that. A sting. Not a wound, just a reminder of how far we've come. The other day, he looked up at me with his wide brown eyes and said, "Mama strong." I don't know where he learned that. Maybe from my mom, maybe from Sarah, maybe just from watching me every day. But I believed him. I am strong. I was strong the day I gave birth alone. I was strong the day I stood my ground at the door. I was strong every night I cried and still got up the next morning. I was strong when I stopped waiting for him to come back, and I'll be strong for every day that follows, because my son deserves that. And so do I. A few days ago, I found the letter. It was tucked in an old drawer I hadn't opened in over a year, beneath some tax documents and a charger to a phone I no longer own. I almost threw it out without looking, but the handwriting stopped me. Slanted, rushed, familiar. It was the letter he left on our kitchen table the day he walked out. "I'm sorry, I panicked, I need space." That's all it said. 3 lines, not even signed. At the time, it gutted me. I'd read it over and over in those first few weeks, trying to extract meaning out of every word. I thought if I studied it hard enough, maybe I'd see something deeper. A sign of regret. A hint of love. Some sliver of a man who once held me close and promised me the world. But as I held it now, 2 years later, all I felt was detachment. This wasn't a message from a broken man. It was an excuse from a coward. A man who ran the second life asked him to show up. A man who had everything and still chose the door. I ripped the paper in half. Then I ripped it again, then again. And I tossed it into the trash with the rest of the clutter from a life I'd already let go of. That night, after I tucked Noah in, I sat on the balcony with a blanket and watched the city lights flicker. I could hear a couple arguing somewhere below, muffled voices rising, then falling. A car alarm went off in the distance. The wind carried the scent of someone's dinner. Life was happening all around me. And for the first time in a long time, it felt like I was part of it, not surviving it, living it. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if this new guy will turn into anything real. I don't know if Noah will grow up asking questions about the man who left him. I don't know what I'll say when that day comes, but I know this much. I'll tell him the truth. I'll tell him his father couldn't handle the weight of being a parent, but that he was loved every second of every day anyway. I'll tell him he was wanted, that he was worth fighting for, that when the world tried to break me, he gave me a reason to stand back up. And I'll tell him that walking away doesn't make someone strong, staying does. Showing up, choosing love over fear, choosing your child over your ego, that's strength. So yes, my husband left me while I was in labor, but I brought my son into this world on my own. I raised him, I loved him, I protected him, and in doing that, I became everything he'll ever need. It's strange how life doesn't stop for heartbreak. Bills still come, laundry still piles up, babies still cry in the middle of the night, needing to be held whether you're broken or not. In the beginning, I thought that was cruel, but now I see it for what it really was. It saved me. Every bottle I made, every diaper I changed, every midnight rock in the chair with Noah's head against my chest, it stitched me back together. Not all at once, not perfectly, but enough. Enough to stand again. Enough to smile without pretending. Enough to know that losing him wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning of a better one. I don't need revenge. I don't need him to suffer. I don't even need him to apologize. He made his choices, and I made mine. I chose my son, I chose peace, I chose me, and I've never looked back.